PlayStation is porting games to PC via Steam. Xbox is expanding its release strategies to include Steam, PlayStation, and Nintendo. It's becoming clear that there's seemingly a consensus between PlayStation and Xbox that the entire industry is going through a recalibration.
Yep.
Starting with console exclusives, in quotes. The recalibration has been accelerated thanks to a massive wave of layoffs that have roiled the video game industry. We covered the impact of these layoffs. IGN covered them, and we've also covered them on this show plenty of times,
multiple times. Yeah,
it's hard to avoid. The entire industry, I'll skip a little bit ahead. The entire industry is resetting to its commercial reality, with some companies realizing, that they have overexpanded, become unfocused in their strategies, and become more overstretched financially. Here's hardly roles of the Ampere Analytics. Again, by now, it's widely known that there are two primary culprits for the recent wave of layoffs: COVID, and this kind of it ties
overhiring.
Into, I mean, yeah, it's we talked about this too in an article recently, and it may have been some of the articles, probably a lot of the same points you could be referred to in this one that were referred to in that one, but it's like between COVID, overhiring, the economy, high interest rates, like there's a lot of different factors that kind of just all came together. And so, as a result, Spencer says it's clear we'll be seeing a shift in the coming years away from console exclusives to mitigate the losses in revenue everyone has been reporting. The impact of the revenue needed to break even on $300 million budgets has had devastating consequences in the form of mass layoffs. Going forward, I believe the industry is not done yet seeing layoffs. We'll see further bad news through 2024. Again, that's what we discussed too as well.
Spoilers.
Yeah, PlayStation, Xbox, and EA have drastically reduced their staff, making headlines at every major gaming publication. Bracer not only saw layoffs, but they saw spinning out their recent acquisitions like Gearbox and new owners. While Spencer is the latest to limit the negative impacts of budgets and layoffs have on the entire games industry, highlighting a risk-averse publisher market, rising AAA game creation costs, and flatlining console business, it's clear to him that things need to drastically change. PlayStation seems to agree, as they've slashed console sale predictions for 2024, 25 to 21 million, which I think we actually covered briefly.
We did.
Highlighting plans to be more aggressive with PlayStation game releases on PC. All of this is an effect of the games industry as we know it, and more specifically, the console business. While PlayStation still champions the value of exclusive releases on its consoles, they've slowly but surely adopting a more aggressive PC release strategy as well. A notable statement during Sony's Q3 earnings call, Hiroki Todaki said, in the past, as we all know, we wanted to popularize consoles' first-party titles' main purpose was to make the console popular. There is a synergy to it. So if we have strong first-party content, not only will our console, but also our other platforms like computers, first-party content can be grown multi-platforms, and that can help operating profit to improve. So this is another way we want to proactively work on.
That's crazy. That is basically the same thing Phil Spencer said 2 or 3 years ago with Xbox. And it's nuts to see that. It was the same one where he famously said that their Microsoft Xbox is no longer interested in selling consoles. Like he said basically the same thing.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So Mike, are you telling me that Xbox is Android and PlayStation is Apple? Like everything is a couple years behind, get some features a little later, get some ideas a little later than the other. It's like a little delay and things.
And everybody that has a PlayStation will die on the sword that PlayStation's better than Xbox. Meanwhile, people on Xbox just don't care.
Come on, Sony
Xbox
ponies.
have been on a PC. People on Xbox have been on a PC for years now. Come on, guys. Come on, hold on. Let me talk the way you like. Come on, guys. Come meet me. Talking through for people that only have the audio. I'm talking through the
PlayStation controller. It's crazy.
Jeez.
But this is the first time PlayStation has brought up a shifting perspective. Head of PlayStation Studios Herman Hulst to also discuss the importance of PC in May of 23, calling it a substantial part of the PlayStation business. Jim Ryan echoed those sentiments on the same call, saying our PC business is a significant profit contributor. Parting roles of Ampere Analytics dives in a bit deeper. Clearly, the macroeconomic backdrop will have contributed to companies looking to streamline their operations, cut their costs, reduce commercial risk, and cut investments. This is inevitable in the current climate and is relevant to all industries. He continues to cite wage inflation and increasing costs of game design as reasons many studios have started looking into the safest route forward, which will also mean a more risk-adverse market for a few years. One big budget game getting canceled can lead to hundreds of layoffs, according to peers.
Yeah.
All of these changes will reshape the industry and games we play for years to come. Gamers want more access to more places, and both Xbox and PlayStation are ready to appease the requests to meet their ballooning budgets, albeit in different ways. For Xbox, it's releasing former console exclusives on rival hardware. PlayStation is ramping up its PC porting business. That could mean fewer console exclusives as hardware sales forecasts are reduced, but more ways to play the games we love. While pure console exclusives still go some way towards driving console sales, more so for Nintendo than others, it has become clear that gamers now expect to be able to play games on a variety of devices. Daniel Ahmed, Nico's director of research and insights, tells us, even in Japan, where the console has traditionally been dominant, and 41% of gamers played a console game in the past year, only 14% of all gamers exclusively play on console, according to our 2023 survey of Japanese gamers. Even in Japan.
Ooh.
In Japan.
I'm sure that also includes like your mobile phone, because mobile phone gaming has gone through the roof. I think in terms of like the PlayStation, Xbox whole setup, I don't think Nintendo's really going to go into that metric of let's get off the console. I think they're just going to keep doing these hybrid kind of scenarios where you can literally just pick up the tablet and walk away with it. That's the Switch. I think that's going to be their model going forward. Whatever type of innovation they could do, they're probably going to innovate with VR. I think that's going to be their bread and butter soon. Nothing really has indicated. There's no teasers or rumors, but I would imagine that the most like innovative company when it comes to doing new things and for the console based stuff, like think about the Wii, think about the GameCube and the different discs. Like they're always trying to do something new. I think Nintendo is going to go that route, but I think we're going to get to the point where Xbox is going to have a similar branding to like Disney, where sometimes you don't even realize you're watching or consuming a Disney product because they own so much stuff.
Yeah, it's very true.
Like Disney still gets their paycheck, and I think Xbox is going to go that route with really Microsoft too. Just they're going to end up owning so many studios, so many games that they're not going to care what platform, what device you use. They already don't really care, and people aren't even going to notice they're playing an Xbox game anymore. Whereas I think PlayStation might just be more brand heavy. Do you think that might be the case too?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Definitely more brand reliant, I'd say. I could see a day where you could play the game and at the very end on like the credit screen, you see all the products and it's like Xbox Studios or whatever. It's like, whoa.
Oh, for sure.
Which is, you don't expect it. Like they don't even put it on the front cover of the game. It's just like in credits. Like it's that insignificant. So
that's what I mean.
Yeah, for sure. Continuing on, players getting more access, more options on how to play is amazing news for customers. While porting to PC and mobile isn't a new strategy, it's happening at a much faster rate, and it will have a drastic impact on the console market and how we consume games in the future. Console platform holders have embraced a broader strategy over the past few years and will continue doing so with the aim of reaching gamers on non-console platforms. Ahmed tells IGN. And recent comments from Phil Spencer seem to indicate an incredibly aggressive approach in this respect. Rumors are swirling of an Xbox handheld that will be more open to services like Epic Games having a place on it, and hopefully services like Steam. A strategy that aims to tear down the walled garden approach the industry has used in the console business for years. Harding Rolls added, all console players now have strategies in place to reach broader audiences with their services, games, and IP. Out of the three companies, Microsoft has been the quickest and most active in evolving its strategy, largely because it has had a more acute need to look for growth beyond its console businesses.
Facts.
Even Nintendo is branching away, albeit in a different way through theme parks and movies. It's actually true, yeah. Okay. He's been.
Dude, I want to go to Universal Studios so bad. Go to Mario World, Nintendo World, or whatever they're calling it.
Yeah, very true. Even Nintendo, so think of it this way. You don't need to own a Nintendo Switch to go to Universal Studios or watch the upcoming Legend of Zelda live action movie.
Oh, dude, I hope it is. Please.
Oh, please. Please. That's like a bang, dude. What was that? Anyway, console platform holders have embraced a broader strategy over the past few years and will continue doing so with the aim of reaching gamers on non-console platforms. This has taken various forms, with Nintendo expanding to movies and theme parks, PlayStation expanding to PC, and Xbox expanding to cloud, and more recently, other consoles. We're all embracing everything. Nintendo said, "Give me that IRL." That's what Nintendo said. And everyone else just like,
That's what I think. That's why I was trying to say I think the VR stuff is the next step for Nintendo.
yeah.
I think Nintendo's gonna they're gonna put it in their theme park, their theme section of Universal Studios, where you can be on those what are they called? The platforms that you can stand on, be stationary, but you can like physically walk.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Like
they'll
the
give you a
rings. Yeah.
headset. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
that would be so cool, dude.
Yeah, it would be pretty sick.
Make me Mario. Make me Mario.
Make me Waluigi so I can be tall, sir.
That's all.
Oh man. Okay. And to his point, Toto points out the console sales have remained flat for everyone. Looking back at the last several years, it's easy to see that Xbox and PlayStation console audience is not growing. The data backs it up. No console, not even the highly successful Nintendo Switch, has managed to surpass the 155 million units the PS2 sold as of 2012. In over 20 years, the closest was the DS, when Nintendo DS,
Yeah.
which capped out at around 154 million units. Even the Nintendo Switch that everyone points at as the bar for success seems to be gearing up for a successor, is currently sitting just shy of 140 million units sold. And how will this?
One thing to note there,
Okay.
that the 140 million units sold, I mean, granted, it's a 15 million units difference between the PS2 and the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
The PS2 was selling for a long time.
Very,
Like
yeah.
a long time. I think it was
Definitely.
like you could even buy it in PS4 was out. It was nuts.
Yeah.
So maybe not that long, but you know what I'm trying to say here. The Switch hasn't been out that long. Not really.
Yeah, what, 7 years? Like that?
Yeah. So I think that's why it's so successful, I guess.
Yeah.
What do you think might be another contributing part why everything's been staying stagnant before we move on?
I don't know.
Like the console sales.
I mean, PCs have just like the thing. It's just crazy how easy and accessible it is to get a PC that is just as powerful, if not more powerful, than a console now, right?
Yeah, for
It's
less money sometimes.
Exactly. I mean, it's way more accessible than ever. Like, it may be a slightly higher investment up front, but I think overall, just like having something to play your games on, but you can also use it as entertainment, and you can also use it in other aspects, productivity. Like, there's a lot of uses you can get out of making your own PC now, that you can't get from a console, obviously. And so, I mean, even if you want to do like couch gaming, right? Like, you can get a wireless controller, Bluetooth, hook up a PC or something like that. It doesn't have to be a super powerful PC in like your living room, right? And you can just kind of hook it up to your Steam and you're off to the races. So I personally think like the PC being more accessible and more popular has certainly kind of like suffocated console sales for the most part.
I think you're right there.
The reason why Nintendo does so good is because we talked about it with like they've had the same strategy since Wii and GameCube, of that kind of blue ocean strategy where it's like they make these games tailored to this device that are not only exclusive to it, but it's just like they've created this world that is like
it's a new experience.
It's a new experience, but also it's like these characters and these worlds are like available and they're fun for everyone.
Interlinked.
Yeah, they're interlinked.
Not only that, but there's there's cross pollination between all the different games. Like Super Smash Bros. Is an amazing concept. It's like you get all your heroes from the Nintendo universe can all be combined and played like at the same time. That's amazing. And you can also do that with like Mario Party. It's really cool. Like the Mario universe, and they all play with each other. It's fascinating stuff. I think that's something that a lot of the other companies you just can't do, really. I mean, I guess you've seen it with Soul Calibur, but
I mean, we kind of see Warner Brothers. I think of Multiverses. It's like the closest thing to like a collab.
True.
But then that didn't do so well, and so now they're relaunching it anyway. It's
one quick thing, and then we'll just like wrap up because there's really not much more to the article. I think one thing about the lack of console sales in comparison to the past is the number one like dream job for young kids to young adults is to be a YouTuber or content creator. And you can't do that unless you have a proper computer. Like you can
Yeah,
do it
that's
with
true.
like laptops, but that's the entry drug, you know? It's like everybody gets their laptop first and they're just like, "Oh, this is nice. It's like 30 frames per second playing Rocket League. This is sick, dude."
Yep.
It's like, "Yeah." And then you go to your buddy's house who has a real PC setup and you're like, "Oh, okay. I see what 144 frames per second is and I'm saving up. I'm gonna
Yep.
yeah.
Dude, that
That's
was
what
my path.
happens.
That was my path. So you start
That's
off on a
that's everybody's path,
when I
man.
was like a young teenager, I got a laptop, and then kind of
Yep.
working up, and then all the way until college when I was able to finally afford a PC. I was like, I
Yeah.
dove head first, and the rest is history.
Dude. For me, it was just getting a desk.
Yeah,
It's like I got to get a desk before I can even build the PC, and they got the desk. It's like now I need a chair. It's like the entry level like activity.
yeah.
All right, but sorry to cut you off. We were at
No,
and how will this
we're
impact you?
yeah, yeah. So I was kind of skimming through that a little bit while you were talking, and kind of because and what you were saying is, and like what we were talking about was very much the case, right? Like the expansion of PC and mobile certainly has a part to play in
Yep,
that. Yeah,
100%.
mobile especially. I mean, has a part to play in kind of lower things. But also, what we've talked about too is like the cost of creating a AAA game now has increased substantially. The time,
Yes,
not even financially, but just the time investment to actually make these games. It's bigger than it ever has
5
been.
years minimum.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, it's way bigger than it ever has been. So those are certainly contributing factors. They talk about the price increase of console games 60 to 70. I mean, I know we talked about it too. It's like, is that really significant? I don't know. But I mean, it certainly is a
yeah.
reason behind. I guess it gives them enough reason to say like, hey, these games are so expensive to make now, and it takes so long. It's like kind of need some. They're trying to make up some cost, I guess, somewhere. Um, but yeah, a little bit further down the article, kind of just the last couple paragraphs here. I think it's worth mentioning. Um, so revenue wise, there will always be a place for a console. Console represents around 1/3 of the total global spend on video game software and services, which shows the opportunity for console platform holders when expanding to mobile and PC. In fact, the contrast is even more pronounced in Asia and MENA, where over 90% of player spending is generated on non-console platforms. Daniel Ahmed tells us. And Rolls backs him up by saying none of the companies can afford to exit the console market as a platform holder without significantly reducing their game's revenue. So I expect them to all remain committed to the console market for years to come. There is a chance we will have Microsoft and Sony focusing a lot more on handheld and the cloud, especially after how the Steam Deck revealed there is a high demand for high fidelity gaming on the go. And then everyone else is making these handhelds. Mike, we got the Lenovo Legion Go, we got the ROG Ally, we got the Logitech G Cloud. Like, just the list goes on.
Yeah. There's so many. It's like we've covered all of them too. Those videos hit, by the way.
Yeah, the 50
So
million.
people are interested.
Yeah, what is that studio that makes like one handheld and then moves on to the next thing? They're on like 50 million projects.
Uh,
I forget the company, but
A
it's
and
like
E-O.
A&EO. Yeah. It's like,
A&E-O.
yeah, A&EO, right? Like
I had
making
to use my brain blast. I was like,
gotta go back. What popped? Um,
yeah.
but yeah. So for today, finish the article. For today, however, one thing is clear: change is coming. Change is here.
Yep.
More games in more places and a better value for the gamer is a huge win. Console exclusives may become less and less common, but if that means these companies are going to create more options for you, I'm all for it. And us here at the M2 podcast are always all for it, especially Game
We're
Pass,
always
baby.
a big fan, dude. I'm a big fan.
It's like, yeah, I mean, this is the future of gaming, Mike. The handheld is back. I think maybe, perhaps. If Xbox gets in, I think it's it would help.
I feel like I would like an Xbox handheld, but I don't even know if I would be that interested, to be honest.
That's fair. Yeah.
So it would be pretty sick just
Yeah.
to experience all the different games that I
I
could
mean,
possibly experience.
I think it's cool. Like PlayStation Portal, right? It's not an on the go handheld, but like just from all
Yeah.
the videos you're seeing and all the people like they're quietly releasing updates too that are actually making it better. And it's like people like even if you're not home and you're using it on someone on like a separate Wi-Fi or something like that, it's still like remarkably good. I think better than people expected. So maybe that's like Sony's kind of maybe that could be Sony's like key to be like, hey, maybe we should dive back in and do something in the handheld space again. But I don't know.
Yeah, true. I think one of the funny things that can end up happening, or a breakout in the space could be Samsung or what do you call it? Apple. If if
Sure.
they can make attachments that will actually be really good and connect on the phone, like to expand everything into like a tablet, like a true tablet, it's over. You know, it'd be
Yeah,
so cool.
yeah. That's a good point. Yeah. Maybe the phone manufacturers get more involved.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty sick. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. There, this is the thing. A lot to be excited about. End of the day, the gaming industry,
Yeah.
how dire it's been, and how just crappy it's been overall in the past like year, especially from like a developer standpoint. From all that, it's
True.
like hopefully as this levels out, we can start looking ahead and kind of seeing, what all these games taking longer to make. It's like it gets more and more imperative and critical that you make a good game, right? So it's like maybe I'd like to think this is very optimistic. I like to think that like since it's taking longer to make games, it makes studios really stop and think about their choices as they are in the development process. Say like, would this really work? Would this not really work? Um, let's
Yeah.
take a look at games in our kind of genre and see like what works, and what doesn't. Maybe take some ideas and kind of
Combine them all.
creatively make your own. I don't know. It's very optimistic, but I would like to think that maybe maybe we'll be more studios will be more intentional about what they make, so we actually make better products.
True. I think it's just pretty cool that I don't know. I think this episode in particular has been more optimistic than the past because the past we've just been having to report. I mean, dude, all that was in the news was all of this, all these layoffs and how terrible that is. So now that we're seeing more and more that's actually good and more optimistic, it's a good feeling to
Yeah,
really end on, you know?
sure is. It sure is. Yeah, I think overall, that positive on the news, for the most part, right this week.
Yeah.